let's go ahead and get started. So with the Rapattoni MLS, when you log in, you would be logging in using the same format, going through the migrating.com website, accessing the gateway, and then in that dashboard, you're going to have a new Rapattoni MLS button. Once everything's all live, all good to go, you'll be able to access that information to the homepage that you land on. This will be your new homepage. So just a quick overview of the homepage here. Everything that you're seeing on the homepage, going from the house button here, this is your going back to home. This is what we call the navigation bar. It's always going to be on every single page within the MLS. It never changes. So everything that has to do with searches, located under your searches menu. Anything that has to do with listings is under listings. But for this setup here, all of the listings will still be entered in Coral Gables. So the way you would do that here is on my homepage, I have this add edit listings button. As soon as I hit that, I could go in, add and edit my listings. Now to the right of listings, back up at the navigation bar, you have your IMAP tax, then realist tax information right below that. Carts, the cart concept is similar to favorites or your folders. It's an area where you can add listings to your carts, you can create as many carts as you'd like, and you can save that information there, and it'll stay until you actually go in and physically delete those listings. Contacts and prospects, this is an area where you can manage, create contacts, and you could even import from a third-party CRM program if you'd like. As long as you export it in a CSV file, which is an Excel spreadsheet, you'll be able to import it in here. So if I go down to contacts, and just to show you how easy it is under import contacts, as soon as we get into here, it brings you through a setup wizard. If you hit choose file, it's going to open up a file explorer on your PC, and just select the spreadsheet you want to upload. It'll take you to the next step where you start mapping the fields, telling the system what goes where and where to place all the info. So that's just an easy way on how to import a lot of contacts if you have them hosted in a third-party website or another email. Now under links and documents, this is an area that you'll see grow a lot. If I go down to links and documents here, this is going to show me all the links and documents, or a quick and easy way to access some information within the MLS. And you'll see this list expand as the MLS goes live and progresses. I'm just going back to the home page. Now going over to the admin menu, we're going to be covering this or talking about this a lot during the session. One thing I do want to point out here is the admin menu is intended to help you and shape your performance within the MLS. And what I mean by that is setting up your defaults. So if you're always looking for certain listings, property types, you can define those defaults here, so each time you don't run it, you go in to run a search, you're not always having to make those selections each time. Now going over to the help item, help is really everything that has to do with the MLS, and if you need any instructions, you want to watch any videos, all that information will be located here. This online help section is like the Rapattoni Wiki. You just type in what you're looking for, it'll bring up a keyword of all the instructions we have and everything you do. So if you're not sure how to email, just type in email, bring up everything, and it'll give you step-by-step instructions on how to send an email. But down below that, the Learning Center, this one's one of my favorites. So if I go ahead and click into here, this is what we call the Learning Center, over 50 3 to 5 minute tutorial videos on how to do certain and hot functions in the MLS. Now if I scroll down here, we're constantly updating this feature. And let me go ahead and show you some of the latest ones we've had. See here all these IDX features that we just rolled out. This just tells you, hey, this is new video, or the video has been updated. And once you do get access, feel free to take a look at these. You'll have a lot of videos in here that'll give you step-by-step instructions and everything we covered today. So I'll go ahead and close that out. So that was the help menu. Now, we covered the help menu. I showed you what the navigation bar is, and it doesn't move. This is consistent throughout the entire MLS. But one thing to keep in mind is these modules here, all of these modules, you can drag them and drop them anywhere you'd like. And these modules are really shortcuts into the most used features or items in each one of these menus. So for instance, if I want to run one of my saved searches, I don't have to go in, go to searches, go to my saved searches and run it there. Directly from the home page, all you have to do is hit this button and it reruns your search without even leaving the home page. Now, some things I do want to point out on the home page here, you do have a few searches. One of them being is the speed search. So without even leaving the home page, you can start typing in a listing number, multiple listing numbers. As long as it's separated by a semicolon or a comma, you're all set. But it does a lot more than that. So if I'm looking for an address, let's just say 607 Castle. As you can see, it gave me 7 listings. I didn't even finish the address. Once I hit search, it's going to bring me to those results. All right, so here's all of our listings. Now let's just say you want to break this down and only see the active listings. I'll go back to my speed search here, another semicolon. Now I'm going to type in active. Hit enter. Now it's going to bring me to that one active listing. So it's another area or another way that you could run a search directly from here, the speed search. One thing I do want to point out is as we go through the session, this blue bar will change. This blue bar is going to let you know what actions you can do for the listings you're on or the page you're on. So right now I could run a CMA, reports, exports, etc. And we'll get into that in just a little bit. I'm just going to go back to the home page. Now what if you want to look for a lot more information here? Let's say we're looking for residential. Just type in resi, separate that by a semicolon. We'll do actives also, semicolon. What about 4 plus beds? Another semicolon, 4 plus baths. And let's just say in Jupiter. Perfect, 137 listings. Let's go ahead and hit enter. And then it takes me directly to those 137 listings. Going over to the right-hand side under displays, if you want to change your display, so if you don't want to look at this full detail view of the single listing, I'll just select the one-line grid. And then it takes me to a grid view of all those listings. Now, what I just showed you here is I ran multiple searches from the home page using the speed search. Now, if this is something you find yourself loving and you want to learn more about it, this little help bubble here, this little gray help bubble, you just open that up. It's going to give you not only a tutorial video on how to utilize the speed search, but it'll give you keywords and examples on what you can put in as far as criteria for the speed search. Alrighty, let's go ahead and go back to the home page. So I ran quite a few searches, pulled up listings, and I haven't even covered any of the searches menu. This is all coming from the home page, the speed search. So some people are going to find that they love the speed search. Other people might find that they like to hide the speed search. So this button up here, this little magnifying glass with a little Harry Potter thunderbolt, if you just select that, it hides the speed search. If you check it again, it'll display the speed search for you. So what we just covered was the home page, the speed search, and the areas on where to locate all the keywords on how to utilize the speed search. Let's go ahead and dive right into some more searches here. Now, I'm just going to leave the mouse here, but one thing I do want to point out for all of these searches here, they're essentially all the same. The only thing that distinguishes each search are the first few fields at the very top. So once you've gone through, you've ran a standard search or a quick search, whatever the case may be, you're going to learn or see that the searching functionality is very similar. So once you've learned one search, you've mastered all the other searches. Everything else comes very easy. So let's go ahead and go down here, and we're going to start off with the standard search. You also have the option to create your own custom searches though. In here under custom, you can go in, select any fields you'd like, remove them, and really create a search exactly the way you want it. But let's go ahead and just start off with the standard search here. Now what I'm going to do is, from the top here, we have property types. These are all your property types in the MLS today. Going down, you have your property subtypes. So if I keep scrolling down here some more, start entering in some criteria. So let's just go with 4 bedrooms. And let's go ahead and do with total baths, we'll go with 3. But let's say your client requires that there must be at least two full baths. If you want to include 2 full baths, just put in 2. Now you're looking for at least 3 bathrooms, but 2 of them must be full. Go ahead and uncheck that for now. And I'll go ahead and scroll down and I'll type in a price. So right now I'm going to look for 900,000 through 950. Perfect. Now, I'm not sure if you've noticed already, but I'm coming into this search and there's already a few things selected. For instance, the active, the backup, and if I go back up to the top here, I have my residential property type selected. Over under admin, your preferences, this is the area you're going to be able to set up all your defaults so you don't have to continually click each thing. So as we go down the list, areas, one thing I do want to point out is under areas, anytime you see a field like this, for instance like county, city, area, if you start typing in, it's going to show you the options that match that keyword. So if you don't know exactly what it is, you just type in a few letters, it'll bring up matching results and you can select it from here. You also have the ability to, this little lookup here, it will open up all of the areas or all of these cities, whatever field you're on, and show you the list of everything in that field. Now, down here at counties, I have this defaulted to Martin Palm Beach. This is coming from my preferences, but it can always be changed on the fly. And going down here, you could also include only listings with photos if you don't want any properties in there that don't have pictures. And let's go ahead and scroll back up here. And again, this blue action bar, now I have search, map view, export, statistics, and options. So right away, let's just go ahead and hit search. Alrighty, so I'm brought to a search. Why am I brought to this search? Why am I seeing this display here? So again, under your admin, your preferences, I have defaulted my preferences to bring up all my searches in what we call the one-line grid. So over to my right under displays, this is my one-line grid. And that's always going to come up in my searches because that's what I have in my preferences. Also, the action bar changed again. So now we have CMA, reports, exports, and email. So let's go ahead and select some listings here. We'll go with the first 2. If you want to run a report from here, you would just go to reports and select the reports, and off and running you go. And we are working on some more custom reports for you all. So it's not completed yet. There will be a lot more reports at the end of the day once it's all converted. But going over to email, let's just go ahead and hit the email button here. I just want to show you how you can email a client. Now when you're emailing out of the MLS, you can only email reports that are client sensitive. So it takes out all the agent confidential information. You can select your report from here. Then on the top left, I could hit submit. It's going to bring me to my emailing program where I can either type in the 2 or who I want to email this to, or if I select this lookup is going to allow me to select somebody from my contacts and prospects that I already have in the MLS. So let's just go with Andrew Anderson, hit add email, and we're all set there. And by default, I have this sending me a blind carbon copy. So this can be changed in your settings, and you can always update that on the fly. I also have my subject defaulted from my preferences, and this note from the email defaulted in my preferences. So this is all just saving me time, just so I could go in, do some actions, and quickly get out of there and go do some more work. What was that? Yes, sir, you can customize those default emails. So I'll show you where you can do that a little later down the class. Now once you're all ready, you just hit send email. Now it's just confirming, hey, your email has been sent. You can add additional email recipients. We'll just close this out here. Now, you sent the email. What if you want to see how that email was sent or if it was received? I don't want to lose what I'm doing here, so what I'm going to do right now is up at the top right-hand corner, we have a little button with an arrow called multi-session. If I select that, I can open up as many sessions as I want, and they all retain their own timeout period. So you can have multiple jobs. If you have 2 different screens, you could work on 2 different things at the same time. They all retain their own timeout period. Now, if I want to see that email I just sent to my client, under admin, going all the way down here to view sent email, This will give you records of everything you've sent out from the MLS, including the auto prospecting or the auto notifications that we'll go through and show you how to configure. Now on the left-hand side here, this blue report, this is going to show you the exact report that you sent out at that point in time. And moving over here on the right-hand side, this report viewed, as soon as your client clicks on that, this report viewed will be updated to yes. So that's a great way of knowing if your client received or didn't receive the email. And if you need to resend this email for any reason, over on the right-hand side, this email button, that will open up the email client and resend that email that you had already sent them. So that was emailing out of the MLS and then checking to see what emails you've sent out of the MLS under the admin mode. Go ahead and close that out. Now we're back on our search results, the one-line grid. What I do want to show you here is that this one-line grid is fully customizable. So if I go over to Customize Grid, and from right here, this is going to be very common in the MLS. You're going to see your available fields on the left and all the ones you've selected on the right. This is going to be a common pattern in the MLS. And as you can see here, I have a really long list of fields that I could add to my one-line grid. So if there's something that you want to look for or anything like that, I'll go ahead and show you a little neat shortcut. But let's go ahead and just create a brand new grid here. I'm going to copy the one I have right now, so I'm just left-clicking copy and just give it a name. My grid for Phil. We'll hit OK. Perfect. So it's copied that grid I was just on, and it's brought me to my new grid so I can start customizing it. And this is broken up by property type, so you could do custom grids for residential, residential lease, and all the other property types as well. So right now what I want to do is I'm going to look for a field view. What if you want to add view to your grid? By using Control F, it brings up a keyword search on any browser. This could be used, any browser opens up top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, depending on the browser. If I type in view here, it's going to bring me to any keywords that match what I'm typing in. So I go ahead and select view, and then if I hit add immediately from right here, what it's going to do is add it to the bottom of the list. Now if you can see here, everything is sorted in increments of 10. And the reason we do that is so you could easily insert columns and field in between one another. So if you want view added, let's just say in between property, subtype, and area, we'll give that a sort of 35, hit add, and it's inserted it exactly where you want it. If you don't want it in that area, you can always move it up or move it down, whatever the case may be. You can form it up exactly how you want it.
Excuse me, what kind
Yes,
of
ma'am.
explorer you use, or what kind of...
That's a great question. So the question was, am I using Internet Explorer? And it's up to you. Cross-browser compatible. You can use any browser you want. And then let me just go ahead and show you the icons down here at the very bottom. Now, down here you have the option to turn these on and off. So what these mean is property history. If you're looking at the listings in your one-line grid that you're creating here, do you want the property history icon to be there too so you can easily click it and open up the property history? If you do, just leave it checked, and the same applies to tax info, your map, the pictures, virtual media, and attached documents. So they're just quick links to access that information from your grid. So once we're all set there, I'm just going to hit save on the top left. Let's go ahead and go back to list. Okay, so you notice that I'm back on the same grid I was just on. It's coming back to my preferences because that's what I have defaulted. But if I want to switch over to the new grid I just created, I just go down to displays. And at the very bottom here, these are all the custom grids I have created. So let's go with my grid for Phil, select that one. It's going to say, okay, I do want to change my sort options. Perfect, so there's my grid. Here's my new column, view. So now that you're looking at it, you're taking a look, everything looks pretty nice, but one thing is, I don't really like the order that the grid is, or the column. So if I left click and drag this column anywhere on the one-line grid and just let go, it's resorting that on the fly for me. And it's working off of what we call server-side caching. So for this specific grid, it's saving this change. I don't have to go back and move it and resort it. You can do that right here on the fly. Just click, drag and drop the column you like, and have it reformatted there. You could also make these cells bigger and smaller. So if you want to shrink this cell, this one over here, it's a really neat feature.
And you can save it. That they move around, you can save it.
Yes, so the question was, as we're moving things around, adjusting the column sizes, can you save it? And the answer is yes, it's actually saving it for you. As you're making those changes, it's automatically saving it. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Can you save my grid for Bill as another search for another client? Like take Bill's grid and save it as Joe's grid?
You can create as many grids as you like. It's really up to you. You can have multiple grids for different people, yeah.
I didn't see a copy feature on this.
Okay, let me go ahead and show you that. So let me go ahead and show you where you can copy the grids. So if I go back to customize grid right here, and now in the action bar here, the way we created this one was through copying. So all I would have to do if I want to copy this grid and create it for a different search or something like that, you can just hit copy here, and then now it's going to ask you to create a name for that grid, and you can do it as many times as you'd like, and it is per property type. Go ahead and go back to list. Alrighty. So that's the one-line grid. Now from right here, what I also want to show you is that when we search, you have a lot of different views. So I have the one-line grid selected as my default, but let me go ahead and show you a few different displays. Now coming over here under the displays drop-down, as I select that, what if I want a multi-line with photos? So here's the multi-line with photos. What if I want a little bit more information? Maybe I want the commission info included there. Let's go with summary with pictures. Then this one's going to give you a little bit more information. You have your marketing remarks, the broker remarks, commission info, a little bit more information than the other multi-line. But there are different displays here and different views. And now we're going to go back to the one-line grid. All right, so directly from here, I'm just going to click into one of these listings so I can show you the full property detail report here. Right under listings, I'm just going to select this single listing. Once I select that listing, now it takes me to the full detail view of this property. And again, the action bar changes. You have reports, exports, email, find comparables, which we'll get into in just a few minutes, add to cart, and your options. Now let me go ahead and open up the options here. I do want to point out that the options area is different in every piece of the MLS. So from here, it's saying that I can save this listing to a prospect cart. And I'll show you the other options in just a few minutes. Now if I scroll down here, this is the full detail view. In the right-hand side with your pictures, if you click on the photo, it's going to open up the full picture viewer for that property. And what some people like to do is if it's really nice high definition photos, they like to put those out and display them. You could hit play and then select full, and then you can just have an iPad scrolling through those photos in front of your office if you like. It's just another way to have a little presentation device for the pictures. I'm gonna go ahead and close that one out. And then the map section here. So when it comes to mapping, we are powered by Google, so it's all Google Maps. And you can enlarge this map. I won't do it right now. I want to show you that in just a few minutes. And you also have the street view. Directly from here, you can access the street view. And if I'm clicking inside this little photo icon, it allows me to move it 360 degrees, up and down, and you can even move down the street if you'd like. I'll go ahead and scroll down the list a little bit more here. These are where all your SSO links will be, so we're still working on them, but once the schedule of showing is available, you'll be able to schedule showings there. Any other links will be available. And then whenever you're, yes ma'am? you have a question? Okay. And then whenever you're seeing the parcel ID, whenever it's hyperlinked like that, if you click on it, it'll open up the property tax record. So you can access the tax data directly from here. Yes, sir. You also have IMAP and Realist. So you have both of those products integrated into the MLS.
Yeah, but when you open that one, is it linked to the tax, no, the IMAP or the other one, right?
It's taking you to IMAP. IMAP tax
That
detail.
one, okay.
Right. And I don't have access. I'm not a realtor, so it's not letting me use the product there.
Is this the client view, or is this our?
This is what we're reviewing right now. It's all agent view. Everything's within the MLS. So this is all agent information.
Will the reports sent to the client be able to Google search and scroll down the street?
That's a great question, and the answer is yes. I'll show you what your client will see when they receive any listings from you.
And they can click on the tax record as well?
The tax data, no, but all the other features, yes. All right, let's go ahead and go back to list here. Then let me open up the options button here as well. So I ran a search. Now what I can do is in addition to sorting, you can save as a new search. So if I want to save this, add it to my home page, in one click I could run it each time. Certainly do that by adding a name. You can save as a new prospect, add to an existing prospect, or save listings to a prospect's cart. And we'll get into that in just a few minutes. I'll show you how to create a full website just for your client. Let's go ahead and close that one out. And now let's go back to the home page. So everything we just covered right now was under searches, standard. That was just running a standard search. We ran the standard search, showed you how to change your displays, showed you how to move the columns around on the one-line grid. Now let's go ahead and get into the hot sheet. Right at the very top, you have two different variations. You have the hot sheet, which is the hot sheet search in a form type view. And then below that, for everybody who likes to start off with a map, you have that in the map version as well. Let's go ahead and start with the hot sheet, the form version. Alrighty, now we went through the standard search. So keep in mind that you have date range here, days back, and then below that changes to include. This is the only search you're going to see those fields available for. So it's the only fields, date range, days back, changes to include, will only be in a hot sheet. Now if I scroll down, everything else is very similar to the same search we just went through. You have your areas, counties, cities, zip code, statuses, your price, your bill, the list type, etc. The list goes on. So it's, once you've learned one search, it's very easy to adapt to the other searches. So let's just say that I'm going to do a hot sheet for a date range. So for today at 6/29/10/16, if this is a search I want to save, and then tomorrow morning I want to come in and rerun that search, but I don't want to set this up again, all I would have to do is go up to options, save as a saved hot sheet, just name it Phil as a hot sheet search, hit save. Perfect. Now we'll close that out. And again, I'm going to use multi-session. I don't want to lose what I'm doing here. So at the top right, I'm just going to select this little box with an arrow, open up my multi-session view, and my saved hot sheet. So right here, I'm just going to left click, drag this module up so you can view it a little easier. And this is my saved hot sheet. Now it's telling me that the last time I ran it was today at 2:08 and 6/29/17. So if I were to run it again, it's going to run it from the last point in time that it was ran. So you're never missing out on any information. It's always taking back the, rerunning the search based off the last date and time you ran it. Now, that's if you use the date range. If you're running it by date range, it will do that. You also have the option to run a search using days back. So if I select days back, go with 1, and right here, right off the bat, I have new listings selected, price reductions, and then residential. Again, this is all coming from my preferences. Just save me a little bit of time here. But if you want to include, let's say, back on markets, just go ahead and select it. Now we'll hit search. So we're running a search for new listings, price reductions, back on markets for 1 day back. And the way that this works is with the hot sheet, it'll group everything by the change type. So if we go down here some more, go on to the next page here, your new listings. Pulled up quite a few listings here. There we go, 112 new, 26 back on markets. Then we have price increases, decreases. So it all breaks it out by the change type that you included in the first section of the hot sheet search. And again, this is all controlled, or the defaults are all configured under your preferences here. All right, any questions on the hot sheet? Yes, sir.
Is there a limit to the amount of hot sheet you can set up?
No, sir. So the question was, is there a limit to the amount of hot sheets you can set up? No.
What about saved searches?
No, sir. There are no limits there.
You say before that you were limited to 14 days to service back.
Okay. So let me go ahead and revise the criteria here. Now, the question was, we're limited to 14 days back. And the answer is yes, this is a system setting. It could always be updated if needed, but it is a system-wide setting that allows you to search for 14 days back.
So only 14 days back.
Correct, 14 days back.
What about if you want to go back to what happened 6 months ago? What do you do?
If you want to go back and look 6 months ago, if you want to see any information 6 months ago or something like that, you could always run a search and include that date range. But as far as the hot sheet, if you're using the days back feature, it's the system setting, or the maximum allowable system setting, is 14. Yes, sir.
Last question, Thomas. If you're at one page, can you actually use the browser back button, or it has to be only on the actual MLS back button?
That is a great question. So there is it's up to you. You can use the browser back button and the forward buttons or your backspace. You don't have to use the
Actual button on the system.
right. You could use backspace on the browser. Now, another thing I do want to point out here, and as we're going through the session, we do have a lot of videos. So here it shows you the basics of searching. So if you were to open that up, it'll go through exactly what we just went through today. Now, going back to the home page, we'll go up to searches. The next one that I want to do is I want to get into the quick search. So let's just open up the quick search here. And I just want to show you the differences. Property type, property subtype at the very top. Going down, you have county, area, cities, bedrooms, full baths, price, your statuses, and then some square footage, lot size, and the year built. So again, the searches are very easy, uniformly configured, and just intended to be easy and search friendly. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to type in some criteria. So let's go with residential, single family, and do my 4 bedrooms again. Go with 3 total baths, and I'll give it a price range. So let's go with 900 to 950. Excellent. All right. So I've ran searches. I've showed you how to run a search. I've showed you how to pull those up in a list view, on how to change your displays. But what if you just want to see these listings on a map? You have criteria added, and you just want to see where they are on a map. Right over here, if you hit map view, just go ahead and select that. So this is going to open up the map view. So powered by Google. Oh, perfect. We'll hit allow. It's powered by Google, and it's meant to explore. So now you're able to explore using the fields and criteria that you set up. So right from here, I could move this map. All I'm doing is left-clicking, dragging, and dropping it. And this is mobile friendly, so if you're logged in using your tablet or your iPad, you could use your fingers, and you could always use the pinch out and pinch in to zoom in and out. But you also have the options down here on the far right-hand side, right down here. If I hit this plus sign, zooming in. If I hit the minus sign, it's zooming out. And I can also do that with my mouse as well. So I'll just zoom in a little bit here. And I'll show you one of the favorite features that I like is this yellow person. So if I left click this yellow person, drag them onto the map here, now anything that's in blue says I can drop them off and get a street view. So if I drop them off right here, it's just plotted me into that street where I could take a street view, 360 degrees, or if you want, like this morning I told my wife I went on a 3-mile run when really all I was doing was this. Hey, imagination is everything, right? Also, you do have the option to open up Google Maps as well. So if we were to hit this, it's going to take us over to Google, show us the map views there as well. I'm going to go ahead and go back to list here. Now we're going to dive into the interactive map search in just a few minutes. I just want to show you how you can start from a form search and pull up a map view to explore the surrounding areas. Up at the top left, I'm just going to go back to revise my criteria. And again, you can see that the blue bar has changed. You have revise, CMA, reports, exports, email, statistics, options, and schedule a showing. Now before we leave the form search, if I go into additional criteria, yes ma'am?
When you change property types from say residential to commercial sale, do your property subtypes and some of the field numbers change also?
Oh, that's a great question. So if you were to select another property type, do the property subtypes change as well? And the answer is yes. So right now I just have residential selected, it's in my preferences. But if I were to go, let's say residential lease, there's all those residential lease subtypes. What about residential income? You have those as well. So you could do cross-property type searching directly from here. But one thing I do want to point out is when you have residential lease, or more than one property type selected, this additional criteria field becomes grayed out. So if I were to select just one property type, now I could go into my additional criteria because there's unique fields per property type. So if I have just residential, it doesn't mean residential lease and income have all the same sets of fields. Let's go ahead and go into additional criteria. And let's just say your client's looking for a property with a lake view, but they don't want a golf view. So using my neat little shortcut, Control F, let's type in view, and then I'll hit enter. And there's the field I'm looking for, view. Let's close that out. Okay, so right here, if they want a lake view, I'll hit include under lake. Don't want a golf view, I'll exclude golf. But what I'm doing right now is I'm saying give me listings that have a lake view or do not have a golf view. If that has to be mandatory that they cannot have a golf view but they must have a lake view, under require all checks, just select that one. And what that's going to do is it's going to ensure that the listings that come back do have a lake view but do not have a golf view. So that changes from an either or statement to an and. Go ahead and uncheck all these. All right, perfect. So that was the searching. Those going into the form search, running some searches, adding in some criteria, including and excluding listings, and being able to plot those listings on a map and just explore using the map view. So I'm just going to go back to the home page, and right now we're going into searches and interactive map. Now this search is very different than in any other search. It starts you off on a map rather than a bunch of fields to select from. So right away, let's go ahead and select interactive map. Now what I could do here is it takes me to not only the map, but a list of all the fields I could use to run a search. So for instance, right now, under fields, if there's a field that you do not see in this list and you want to add it or search by it, or even remove all these fields and just customize it to be exactly what you want, just go under fields here, type in the field you like, so view, we'll select that one, hit add, and then over on the right hand side you have a selected fields tab. So if I select the selected fields, scroll down a little bit, here's my field. If I left click there, I can move it up, move it down, remove it, just play around with it. You can do really anything you'd like there. Also, if you ended up removing a bunch of things, you didn't remember what was in there originally, you can always hit this restore and it restores the system defaults. Once you're all set there though, you can hit save, hit OK. All right, so we've now added field view to my search criteria in the interactive map search. Now there's a few things going on here. You're essentially running two searches. You're running a search based off your map location, and you're also running a search based off the criteria you're filling in on the field search here. You can see that I have residential, my default statuses, and active and backup, all coming from my preferences. I also have include unmapped listings. We have quite a few questions on what are unmapped listings. Now when you're entering in a listing, sometimes the address couldn't be validated for some reason, or somebody didn't move the pin to map their property correctly. Those are considered unmapped listings. So they can't be viewed on a map because there's no location. But if you pull them up in a list view, they'll display it right there because they still match the information that you're putting in or plugging in the criteria. There's just no map location for them. So you can always include or exclude them. And right over here is telling you I have 2,910 mapped, 36 unmapped. So as I move this map, it's going to recalculate my listings. Now we have 3,884 with 36 unmapped listings. Now if you don't want any unmapped listings, you could always turn that off and the unmapped listings will go away. Alrighty, so what are we seeing on the map here? What exactly are those gray little circles? So what those gray circles are, they're clusters of icons or properties. So if I were to select one of those, for instance this one that says 30, if I click into it, it's zooming me in so I could view all those 30 pins. It's just they're so close together that you need to zoom in order to view the property information. Now, what does this green icon mean? So let me go ahead and show you these statuses. Under status/dates, all the icons are going to reflect the current status that they're in. So for instance, the active listings are in green, shows it here. You have backup, which are in blue, same with contingent, and etc. So if you have your closed listings on there, they'll display in red.
What is the difference between backup and contingent?
That is a kind of like a rule question that, yeah, I'm not in a position to answer that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is that?
So
From
people
another
don't be-
part of the country.
Huh?
In some parts of the country, what they do is, if it has not gone through your inspection period, it isn't in pending. And it's not, and backups were basically, it's one of ours that they don't have in other areas.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
What is your triple one?
Oh, that's blue.
That's blue?
Yes, ma'am, those are blue. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry if it does. Yeah.
So that's the backup.
Yes. So the purple/blue ones, those are your backup. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to start filling in a little bit of information. So we'll go under bedrooms. And the thing with these fields here is you can either type in information. So if I just want 4 bedrooms, I can just put in 4 using my keyboard. Or you also have the option to use the drop down. So if I'm looking for 3, I could either select it or type it in. And then my listings are always calculating on the fly. So now I have 8 mapped listings in this specific location. Now let me go ahead and close the criteria. So I'm just going to select this little X. But if you ever want to open the criteria again, just hit the search criteria button and it'll bring it right back up. Let's go ahead and take a look at this property here. So I'm going to click into this icon. Here's all the property information for this specific listing. Now I could select this listing if this is something I want to work with. I can open up the full detail view of this property. So if I were to select the photo, on the right hand side is the full detail view of the property. And from here, you can access any SSO links, any of the tax information. You can toggle to and from the photos. And you could also open up the full picture viewer here as well using the arrows at the top right corner. I'm just going to scroll down here. I want to show you that you have a few options that are very similar between the full detail and the property record card here. So add to, little star, you can add to your prospects, add to your carts, an existing prospect, create a new one. The share button allows you to send out an email directly from here. And then the directions will allow you to get some directions for this specific location. Now over on the property record card here, this little snapshot, we have Street View, take you directly to a Street View. Then you have directions, same as the full detail there. And your add to, routing, we'll get into routing in just a few minutes, and you can also share as well. And right below that, you have options to run a radius search from this specific location. I'll show you that in just a few minutes as well. Let's go ahead and close that one out. Close that one out there. Alrighty. So let's just say that I'm looking for a property, but I need to figure out what location it is or what's around that specific location. So right up here on the left-hand side, this is what we call a location search. So it's running a search based off any landmark, any location within the U.S. Postal Code Service, so it's not limited to just the listings within the MLS. So let's just say that I want to type in or look for 5531 Shirley. Perfect. So right down here it says these are all the addresses or the locations that match what you just typed in. We also have the ability to use your current location. But let's go ahead and go with 5531 Shirley Drive. Now what it's doing is it's plotted a marker on that specific location. And recently my wife and I started looking for some properties, and my mother-in-law started getting very involved, very excited. She's like, oh, I'm coming over every day. I'll be there for lunch. I'll cook you guys all this dinner. I'm like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna have to make it a little hard for her to get to our house. So let's just say, I'm going to edit this label here, but let's say this is where my mother-in-law lives. Just put in second mom, because she is like my second mom. We'll hit save. Now what I could do is, okay, I know my mother-in-law very well, and she's kind of in shape, but once she hits that 2-mile mark, her knees start to get a little weary and she has to take a few breaks. So I know that if I run a radius search around this specific landmark, let's just go with a 2-mile radius. All right, so now what I'm going to do is everything inside this circle, I don't even want to look at it. It's too close to her property. She could definitely make it. So if we do like 2... And then there's multiple shapes that you can do within other radiuses as well. So I just did a radius search based off a marker using the location search. So it just dropped me off here, I just relabeled that marker, ran a radius search, and now I have my radius. Let's go ahead and close that. Let me go ahead and show you some more shapes. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Let's go up to draw.
So can you exclude those from your search?
Hey, you're stealing my thunder. Yes, you can. Yes, sir. Yeah. All right, so let me go ahead and show you some additional features you could do just with shapes and drawing. So we did the radius, but let me just go ahead and show you what that looks like right off the bat. So I'll select the radius. I'm going to left click, drag this out, and it's going to calculate the radius as you're dragging in, zooming in and out. So just go ahead and leave that one there. It's going to go back to draw, and we'll go with the rectangle or the square. Right down here, just left click, drag it to anywhere you'd like, drop it. Perfect. Now let's go back to draw, and we'll go with the polygon. Polygon, let's just go with point there, there. Alrighty. Okay, next one there, let's go back to draw, and this is one of my favorites, this little freeform draw. So if you're on your tablet device or a mobile device, you'd be using your finger or your stylus pen, but from here I'm just going to left click the pencil. And let's just say we want to avoid anywhere that has around water. I'm just going to outline this body of water here, perfect. Let go, and there you go. So that's multiple ways that you can draw shapes. And then once I go into edit, go ahead and drag this out a little bit. So what if I want to exclude any listings within this radius? If I just go over here, select my circle, I can do a few things. I could grab this blue square, which will allow me to move this entire radius to a different location. And this white handle allows you to modify the radius that you drew. You can do this for multiple shapes. So if I want to, at the very bottom I have my free draw. So if I want to modify this, you could be very specific. Just drag that out, drag it out. You have multiple points. You can be very specific and exact in the way that you're drawing your shapes. Yes, sir?
Can you take like the bottom square of the freeform, drag it down off screen? I want to see if the field of the screen moves, zooms out. That's one of the problems with Exchange.
Try to go off the screen.
You could do a large area, say from Pompano to Keys.
Okay.
Along the beach without zooming out, then you couldn't see the roads, you couldn't east of US 1. You couldn't see
Let me show you how you could do that. Just give me 2 minutes and I'll be right there.
Yeah, you're complicated. How many shapes at the same time you can do?
As many as you want. As many shapes as you want at the same time. Now, just real quick here, I drew this freeform shape around the body of water, right, or anything next to a lake or an ocean. You have the option to exclude that shape from your search. So if I hit exclude, it's going to turn that all red, so everything within that shape's being excluded from your search results. And you can do that for multiple shapes. So if I want to exclude this one as well, just click into it, and I could hit exclude. Now I'm excluding all those listings there as well. And you still have the ability to reshape or adjust your shapes on the map. The X buttons here just removes the shapes that you're drawing. If you hit delete all, it's going to remove all of them. Let me just zoom out a little bit here. Now we had a question on it, can you draw some maps or large shapes? And the answer is yes, you can draw some large shapes. So let me zoom out a tiny bit. And one thing you can also do to make it a little bit easier on the eyes is under more, under show hide, if you hit hide results, it's hidden all the results. So it gives you a clean map, a clean slate to make your shape. So if I go up to draw here, and I select whatever I want, whoops, and just let go, it'll just adjust that size for the shape. And once you're ready to view your icons, you can show your results there. So that's one way you can draw some shapes and sizes without even having anything on the map.
Must you zoom out to be able to go further down, or can you just kind of keep going down?
You would have to zoom out, yes ma'am. Yes. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and go back and zoom in, or let's remove this shape actually.
So you can do layers too on that, right?
Yes ma'am, yes ma'am, I'll show you that in just a few minutes. Okay, I'm going to go back to my property. All right, so let's just say that you have some listings that you want to go take your client out and take a look at the property. What if that's this listing here? Now let's select routing, and let's go ahead and find some more. Go with this listing here, select routing, next listing. We'll hit routing. Perfect. Okay, so I have 3 listings. That should be good. I have 3 listings selected to create a route. What do I do from here? What next? Under more routing, let's go ahead and select that. This is all those listings that you just selected to be in your route. You can adjust those. So if I want this one to be, let's say, our ending destination, just drag that one down, or maybe drag this one down up. You could resort them immediately right here. Now let's go ahead and hit get directions here. And what this is doing is it's taking you to Google Maps. Again, fully integrated with Google Maps. So from right here, what you can do, you know your location the best. You know what areas to avoid or go around. And in addition to that, Google also will give you it'll display the blue route as yellow if there's medium traffic or red if there's high traffic. So if you're seeing that as you're creating your route, you could always drag these pins and readjust the route that you're going to. And now from right here, you can also add any new destinations using this little plus symbol. But best of all, you can send these directions to your phone. So if I hit send directions to your phone from here, it's going to send them to your phone, and then you can open them up using your native GPS device, and it'll start reading out the directions for you. Let me close that one out. So that was routing. What we did was we selected some listings, hit routing, and it added them to this routing cart. Now if you want to add some more, if you want to add any listings that you've selected, you would just hit the check button. Let's just go ahead and remove all these.
Can you send that to showing time to schedule your?
Yes, sir. The configuration is still in the works, but showing time will be available, or scheduling a showing will be available here.
Can you send that route exactly the way you want it to showing time?
To showing time, no, sir. The routing comes from the MLS, and it prints it open in the Google Maps. So it doesn't go or send it back to showing time at all. No. Yes, ma'am.
The other system to set up appointments? Agent inbox.
Agent inbox, I'm not too sure. Again, they're still working on the configuration, so it's not all there just yet.
Okay.
When are you bringing this program out?
Late summer, late this summer.
Late summer.
Yes, sir.
And how do you compare this to the maintenance?
Well, really
What's better, what's the benefit of one versus the other?
really what I like to say is just when you go into let's say you go in to upgrade your phone, you have Android and Apple. This is another option. So your association is giving you options on what to select from. So it really depends on your preference, how you like to use whichever product. It's really a personal preference on which one you would like to use versus the other. Yes, ma'am.
Available for the phone?
Yes, ma'am. There is a phone application, but for those of you who do not like to download anything, it's a web-based version as well. So you could always access the mobile version just by logging in using the
But
web
it's gonna be
browser.
at the same time?
Yes, ma'am.
I was thinking that you
Oh.
have an application here.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you también see it? A ver, on the front lines. Front lines.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
On the floor plans.
Oh, okay. So the floor plans from the tax data. Okay.
You do or no?
Remember, this program they're still working with it, and they're going to be adding a lot of the utilities. The utilities that you have in Matrix right now, those icons that you have in Matrix, you will have them here. Like, for example, one of them, you're asking for floor plans, one of them is the my public plans, right? So you will have that there too. It was just indicating that they haven't finished their bits yet. They're going to keep adding more icons for you so you to be able to access that additional information that you like using, okay? So let's try to minimize the questions so that way we can move on with the rest of the information. If you have a specific question or anything like that, you can raise your hand and I can come to you and I can talk to you. That way he has a lot of material to cover and we still have, we don't have a lot of time for it, okay? Thank you so much for understanding.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, so what we just did there, we showed you how to add some routing, print that out using Google Maps. But now let's go ahead and get into some more fun stuff here. So I'm just going to go down to my little marker here. It's an area I really like. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. All right. Over here under layers, let's go ahead and select layers. What's in here? So if I go into layers, I'll go with parcels. Now anytime you see this little checkbox, that means that you're in a zoom level that's enough for you to open up that layer. So if I were to select parcels right now, all those parcels are going to appear on the map. Right below that you have parcel acres, and whenever you see that little circle with the arrows next to it, that means that the map has to zoom in a little bit more in order for you to see that layer. So if I select parcel acres from here, it's going to zoom me in a little bit, and it's just notifying you at the bottom that, hey, we just zoomed in the map so you can open up that layer. We'll hit close down here, and then you can start adding in more layers if you'd like. So we'll go with parcel address, parcel tax ID, parcel dimensions. And then you can start adding more layers and more layers into it. Let me just go ahead and uncheck these.
Wow, that's just a great tool. Thank you so much for showing us.
Oh, you're welcome. So let me go ahead and show you what one of the property record cards looks for the tax data. So if I were to click into one of these parcels here, now it's going to give me a snapshot on the information, the owner info, the site address, the mailing address. It'll link you out to Realist Tax. There's a property report here that's going to combine any MLS history data, Spatial County recorded data, and combining a little bit of the information from all of the systems into one report. But if you didn't notice here, you have a little checkbox. So if I select this little checkbox, now it's going into what we call mailing labels or parcel labels. So for instance, if I want to do a mailing campaign, go ahead and close that out. I'll zoom in a little bit or zoom out. Let's just say you want do a mailing campaign on this entire street. So if I were to hold down Control and select all these parcels, what this is doing is it's going to allow me to print out mailing labels for the parcels I've selected in the standard A3 format, so you could just print it out and put them into any postcards or mailing list that you would like to do using your mailing campaigns. Once I hit print labels, it'll send me right off there and I can start printing it out. Go ahead and clear this all.
Again, that is just amazing. Amazing. That's way better than what you have
All right. So that was just within layers. Now, one thing I do want to point out is as we're adding layers, we're not only adding layers and viewing layers, but I still have my search criteria running. I still have this listing here that's displaying based off the search criteria in my map view. So in addition to search criteria and the map view, you also have layers that you could put in on your search. So let's go back to layers and show you some more. One of the examples I like to show here is under county recorded sales. Let's just say I select all the county recorded sales from past 6 months. We'll minimize this. Now these little orange icons with the house and a dollar sign in there, if I were to select this, it's going to give me a snapshot on this county recorded sale. But what if you want to see if this listing was actually listed in the MLS and sold in the MLS? Close that out, going back to layers. And at the very bottom there, we have MLS listed sales. So if I select MLS listed sales, and we'll just choose 0 to 6 months there, it's going to show them in a purple icon. So again, these listings aren't based off my search criteria. These listings are coming from a layer on the map. So as I'm going through this, for instance, this property here, so we don't have a purple icon, but we do have the yellow one, the house. So this was a county recorded sale, but there's no information as it being sold within the MLS. So this could be one of the FSBOs or for sale by owner properties. Go ahead and go back to the layers here. And I'm just going to uncheck all those. Go to foreclosures. Now this is a really neat one. Let's go ahead and select defaults last 30 days. And we'll come down here. Now anytime you select the notice of default layer, it's going to open up a little box with the bang symbol there. If you click into there, it's going to give you the notice of default information, the beneficiary, the trustee, and at the very bottom you can print out and create a report for that information. All right, going back to the foreclosures, we'll just uncheck those. I want to uncheck the ones I selected for MLS listed sales. Perfect. Now we are still working on the layers, so you're going to see this list grow drastically within the next, once it does go live. But under hazards, if you're looking for, let's just say, coastal high hazard area, this one's a big layer, so it might take a little bit to open up here. What's that? All right, so I just opened up the hazard area. So once I click into, let's just say this section here, it'll just give me some brief information on what hazard it is or what it's named and the code of that hazard. And also we briefly discussed that using Google Maps is using off any location, landmark, or location in the U.S. Postal Code Service. So here, Family Church of Jupiter, it's giving you the Oceanside Academy. So if you have a client that their children or their kids are going to this school.
Power lines and substations.
What's that?
Is there power lines and substations?
Power lights and substations. Let's go ahead and check it out.
Cell towers, and all those complaints are checked.
There are quite a few layers here. This is honestly some of the most layers I've seen in any MLS. So let's go down to administrative here, and just to give you an idea of what you have your counties, your cities, mobile home parks, RV parks, assisted living facilities, developing regions. There's list goes on. I mean, I've never seen so many layers before. What was that?
Senior community school.
Yes, it was in there.
Yes, it was there.
Right over here. Might have to zoom out a little bit to see those. Here we go. So here you have your Jupiter Care Center, White Rabbit Properties, and you just click into those and it'll give you some brief information about that layer, that location. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I saw in there that you also have a layer there for the schools.
Mm-hmm.
Plus you put the boundary for the school as well.
Oh, that's a great question. Let's go back to layers. I'm unchecking senior communities. Let's go ahead and go back up. Let's look for our schools. Now keep in mind that we're still working on all these layers. So let's see what information we have. Let's go with the Unified School District. And here we might have to zoom out a tiny bit. So if I go over here, here's giving me the boundaries of that school district. If I click into the actual color, it'll tell me what school district that is. Go into the other one, it'll give me that school district as well. Right. The other school layers, I mean, we could try them out. I'm not 100% sure that they're done yet. Well, here's middle school, so if we go down here, this is just telling you the Jupiter Middle School here, and once you click into it, it'll give you the name, the school district. So once it is all converted, everything will be there, exactly as you see today.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Alrighty, so that was just a brief overview of all your layers. Again, I've never seen so many layers in my life, so there's a lot of functionality in there, a lot of features. So once you do have access, feel free to play with it. Alrighty. One other thing I do want to show you before we pause for a quick break is within the map view here, you have different views. So right now what I'm looking at is the map. Down bottom left corner, you have the map with terrain. So if you also want a terrain view, you can zoom that out. Then it'll show you the terrain or the mountain areas.
There's so many mountains.
Yeah. So then if you go over to satellite here, now you have two options with satellite. You could have a satellite view with the labels. So if I scroll down, I just zoom in a little bit here. So satellite view with labels is going to show you the street names. Now if I select it without, it's just going to remove those street names. One really neat thing you can do is if you want to print out just a snapshot aerial photo of the property for your clients and you want to include the parcel outlines, just open up the layers here, go over to parcels, just select parcels. Maybe you want to add the parcel dimensions as well. There we go. What if you want to print this out? You have two options. You could go up to map report, top right corner. Hi. All right, let's go ahead and go back over there. So going back to the interactive map search. And let me just type in my location one more time. 5531 Shirley.
So did that happen? Does not say what you have done?
No, for right there, it kind of, it's almost like I lost the internet connection or something like that. So yeah, it did kick me out and I have to come back in here. All right, so let me just show you what that would look like. Going back to the satellite, opening up the layers. And let's go over more, and then we're going to hit map report. And then directly from here, you could print out the map. So if you need to adjust this map a little bit more, you could just left click, drag it, move it, center it a little bit more. You could use the plus symbols to zoom in. Once you have that perfect view, you can hit print and off and running you go. That's just different ways that you could use the layers and information on the map to print out a report or some information for you or yourself or your client. Go ahead and hit close here. All right, so what I'm going to do right now, we're just going to break for, time we have here. We'll break for a quick 10-minute break, come back at 3 o'clock. 3? Yes, so we'll be back at 3 o'clock and we'll get started on some more fun searching and prospecting in the MLS. All right, so how's everybody liking it so far? It's looking good? Everybody excited? Amped up? Okay, so we'll be going over a few more features here. It's really, could spend a whole day just on the mapping features within the Rapattoni product, but let's go ahead and dive into some more searching, some contacts, some prospects. I'll show you how to utilize a feature called Find Comparables, and then we'll end off using the Rapattoni Edge product, which is the mobile application that you can download once everything is live. So right here, right now, I'm back on the home page, back on the MLS homepage where I landed after I logged in. And the next thing I want to do is, over under contacts, here's everything that has to do with the contacts and prospects. But I just want to show you something here under manage groups. Let's go in and manage groups. I know a lot of people around here work with specific people and groups of people like investors. But let's say here, if I go under create a group, and I'm working with investors that are looking for specific properties, just create a group here. Maybe investors looking for Lakeview. Just name it whatever you'd like. You could give it a sort order, or you could assign these by default as well. So if you select this, each time you create a contact, it's going to be added as a default for that specific group.
Maybe I need to look. Is that? Yeah, start it. Oh my God. Sorry. Everything's good, don't worry about it.
Yeah, there's nothing happening here.
Nothing's happening.
What's the sort order do?
Is it working? It's not turning on.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Test, test. Everyone can hear me? All right.
Can
So
you hear him?
Thank you very much. So we had a question, what does the sort order do? Sort order, I'll show you that in just a few minutes on where that takes effect. But if you're adding a contact or you want to filter off your contacts, this is saying what sort order do you want this group to appear in? If I leave it at 0, it's just going to put it at the top unless I have any other ones that are 0. But I'll show you that in just a minute. I created my group. I'll hit save, top left. Now let's go up to contacts, contacts, prospects. And from here, this is where I'm going to create a contact. And we had a question on what does the sort order do for the groups. Going down under the groups filter here, the drop down, this is where the sort order comes into place. So which ones do you want to see first? Investors, Lakeview, I gave that a sort order of 0, so it's at the very top. I have my prospects here, clients, vendors, personal, other, and then here I created a different one, investors that are looking for maybe vacant only. Now where this comes into play is if you have a bunch of contacts in here and you want to add, let's say 10 contacts to a specific group so you could send them a specific search and they'll be getting auto updates. You could just select, let's just go here, select all these, go up to options. And from right here, you could go to email groups, and then if your groups are all the investors or anything like that, you could just shoot them out a blast email from here. Under actions, you can move to a specific group. So if we want to move all my contacts to this Investors Lakeview, I'll just hit go. I won't do that now, but that's how you would do it. And then under the report here, we had a question on, can you print address labels for your contacts? And the answer is yes. This is where you would do it. You would just select the contacts you want labels printed for. You can have a contact report, which will give you all the contact information for that prospect or contact. And then this will just give you all the address labels. And again, they're printing out in the Avery standard format. So you just put in your label sheet and it'll print it out for you. So right now what I'm seeing here is all my contacts. So everything converted over. These are the contacts I had, the saved searches they had. And let me just show you a few items before we create a contact. This little plus symbol here, I don't know if you can see that. There's a little gray circle with the plus sign. If you open that up, this is going to show you all the searches that are connected to this contact. Right from here, you could run that search, you could revise the criteria and even view the criteria of that search. So this area here, as we go in and build a contact, it's going to make a lot more sense, but this is where you can manage all your contacts, your prospects, and then when you import them as well, if you'd like to, this is where they'll all be. But right off the bat, we're going to go into create new contact. So I'm going to left click, create new contact. And then here you just create a contact name. So maybe we'll go with, I love Harry Potter. Harry Potter. Perfect. And what I'm going to do, just keep in mind, I'm unchecking this manage as prospect. So I'm going to uncheck this. And by default, I have the group of prospects selected. This is because I selected it when I was managing my groups. This is what I chose to be a default anytime I create a contact. Doesn't mean you have to stick with it. You can always remove it. Or this little lookup here, you could select that lookup. Then it's going to give you or bring up the list of all the groups you have. And you can select multiple if you like. We'll just close that out. And then let me just type in an email address here at AOL.com. I always wondered if I'm going to run into the person that owns this email address during one of the trainings, be like, you're the guy that's been sending me all this email. It's just an email address I love to use.
Really funny anecdote. You know, I do that in Matrix too when I'm teaching how to send these things to clients and stuff, and I created one that's called Share Sonny, you know, like Sonny and Share. And in the email address I put, what was it? Oh my gosh. One of the songs that Cher has, I put it's like this long. It's long, something. And then when I came back the next day in Matrix, I could see that the person visited the portal to look at the listing.
Oh, no way. That's too funny.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Will you be migrating our current searches and contacts?
That is an excellent question. The answer is yes. We will be migrating all the contacts, saved searches, and all that. So we'll be there once the conversion is completed. Yes, ma'am.
So if you're not gonna have the auto search anymore, it's gonna be
So auto search is in Rapattoni MLS. Auto prospecting is the new auto search. So that's the relationship there. So auto search is now auto prospecting.
And what about the concierge service that we have in maintenance?
That did get brought up in the previous class, and that's something we're going to look into to get added as a feature in the MLS. All right, so as I'm going down the list here, I've added my contact. I unchecked this manage as prospect. So if I continue to scroll down here, not that much information. This is where it ends. This is all I could do is put a birthday note or initial contact date. But if I scroll back up, select manage as prospect, now I'm going to scroll all the way down, and then this is where all the other options come into play with managing your prospect. So if I select auto prospecting, now this is saying that I want an automated search engine that's running continually and that's going to send me updates or my client updates as well as we go through it. Oh, we have a pop-up blocker. Go ahead and undo that there. One moment. We'll hit done. Excellent. Alrighty, so going down the list, under send email to agent, I've enabled them with auto prospecting, which is the automated search engine. Now it's giving you the option of, do you want a daily summary of all the activity for this prospect? Now, anybody that you set up and set them as daily summary, you're going to get a daily summary of all those clients. If you use the prospect schedule, this is going to send you updates at the same time your prospect is receiving updates. So it's going to be each individual prospect that's selected with the use prospecting schedule, you will be receiving updates. Now down here, if you take a look, we have price changes, status changes, and rejected listings. I have 3 of those selected by default because that's what I set up under admin, your preferences. Now if I scroll down, the next option is going to be send email to prospect. We'll hit yes, newly matched, and again, this one's coming from our preferences as well. So I have price changes, status changes, and rejected listings. I'm just going to select price changes for demo purposes here. So if I were to set them up exactly like this, it's going to ask you what report format do you want to send your client. Now, it's going to send them updates in a report format, but if you want to one-up that, give them a personalized website, all you have to do here is click Client Portal. Now what it's doing, if you scroll down here, now it's going to build a customized website between you and your client. So the few options you have here is allow your client to run a search. It doesn't mean they have free reign to do whatever they'd like. If you enable them to run a search, they'll be able to go into the portal, run a search, and before they can pull up any results, we require them to save that search so that you are notified of what they're doing and the criteria they're using in that search. So down here under cart maintenance, again, I have active selected, and this is all because of my preferences. This is what I selected in there just to save me a few clicks. And what this means is that any listing that drops into a pending status, it's going to be removed from the cart. Any listing that drops into a status that is not selected here will be removed from our client's cart. And everybody familiar with reverse prospecting? Okay, excellent. So we'll go ahead and uncheck that. I don't want this coming up in any prospecting search. Then you have your Send Client Portal Activity Report. Now this one's interesting. You can receive this one hourly or once a day. But one thing I like to say is that if you have a client that's maybe not ready to pull the trigger on a property, you've sent them out client portals, they've had it for like 2 weeks, just minimal activity, then one morning you wake up, 7 o'clock, and you get your hourly activity report, and you see, oh, look at this, Harry Potter's looking at some listings right now. You can pick up the phone and be like, hey, I know you're looking at the client portal right now, I'll come pick you up and we'll go look at that listing. Because you're going to know what they clicked on and what they're searching for, and at what time they're doing it if you select it as an hourly update. Once you're all set there, top left corner, we're going to hit save. And now it's taking you to the searching. So what search do you want to add to your client, and what name do you want to give the search? Over here in this drop down, it's going to give you all the options of the searches. We're just going to stick with standard, and I'll name this Harry search, or name it Harry Potter. Top left, we'll hit save or submit. So now we're taken to the standard search. This was one of the first searches we began with in the class. Everything's, again, very similar, very familiar. So you have your property types at the top, subtypes. So we'll just select my criteria: residential, single family. We'll give it 4 bedrooms. We'll go with 3 total baths. Down here, I'll just put in my price range. We'll go with 900, 950. And that should be good. Let's go ahead and hit search.
I had a question.
Yes.
When you were doing that, I noticed that when you're putting in the criteria and the information, it's telling you how many results it's finding, but at the same time on the side of it, it's telling you that you have a maximum of 1,000.
Okay, so there's different maximum search results. So for your client, I believe, yeah, the max is 1,000 listings for within the client portal. Just for the client portal.
Okay.
Right.
I was a little confused, but that's why I was like, is that for like when I do the searches here, is that for like the client?
Yeah, that's just the maximum for the client portal.
Okay.
So when it reaches 1,000 properties, they don't get any more?
Can you repeat that?
When it reaches 1,000 properties, they don't get any more?
Correct, but you will be notified once it does reach 1,000 properties.
No, I mean, when they do the search, it's better if let's say they do the search and the search has 1,500 results, they're only going to see the first 1,000, right? Because he has that maximum there. Am I correct?
Right, well, it won't even let you pull up results or send it to them unless it's 1,000 or below.
Okay, which is different So it's higher.
Yes, ma'am.
When you email them a report, you're not doing a portal, how are they receiving that report? Is it a link or is it an actual like PDF report?
So when you email out from the MLS, it is sending them in a link format. So once they click that link, any report will open up, and the client portal as well. So once they hit the client portal, it's going to open up a link, and then they'll be able to access that web page.
Okay.
So it is in a link
I'm
format.
going to show when we want to refine, or we don't want it automatically to go to them. We want it, to select what we're going to send.
Right. So we did have that question about the concierge, and we are going to look into that.
Yeah,
Yes.
you will have it.
That's something that we're going to look into as a feature. Yes, ma'am, it is. All right, so now that I have my 70 listings, now I could go up and revise my criteria, or I could view the results. So I'm just going to left click and hit view results. And now it's taking me to my client portal invitation. This is also coming from my defaults. This is what I set up in the admin preferences. Now here I'm just going to hit send later. And this is going to give me the opportunity to clean up the prospect cart. So I'll go ahead and uncheck these. And let's just say these first two listings, your client's going to love it. There's all the features they're looking for is right in these two listings. You can add those to agent recommended. So if I select the listings and then hit agent recommended, it's added them to a tab called agent recommended. And only you as a realtor can add to the agent recommended tab. Your client will have the ability to remove from there and put them in saved or rejected. But let's go ahead and go do some more listings. Let's just say this single listing here, maybe the yard's a little too small. So it's a maybe. So let's put this one in saved. Next two listings, let's just say this one and this one here. You already went out to go look at these properties with your client, and you know they don't like it. There's some characteristics that they didn't like right off the bat. So you don't want them to receive updates for these listings at all. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in the rejected tab. Now what rejected means is that you want nothing to do with these listings. You don't want any updates. Don't give me any updates on these listings. But the reason we have a rejected tab opposed to actually deleting the listings from your cart is because you're always running a search that you've set up looking for listings based off the criteria that you've configured. So all these listings are in here for a reason. They match my criteria. If I were to delete any listings from the newly matched, next time auto prospecting runs, it's just coming back as newly matched because it's not in my prospects cart, but it meets the criteria that I'm running a search on. Once you're all set there, you're ready to send the invite. Up at the top, you have more options. Hit send invite, and we'll hit send now. I'll close that out. Okay, that's perfect, but what exactly did I just send over to my client, Mr. Harry Potter? Over here under Client Portal, this will give you a view and the exact same view of what your client will receive. Now we do have the ability to interact through comments per listing. So if any comments were added to the client portal, the first page that will open or the first screen is this comments section. And it'll give you a running dialogue of all the conversations and comments you have had per listing between you and your client. Now over here on the right hand side to the right of listings under new search, if you opted your client into running their own searches, this is where they'll be able to run it. Once they start plugging in criteria and they hit search, they'll be prompted to save the search or put a name for this new search. They can't get results until they do so, and that way you receive all the search criteria and all the information. Going over to the contact agent. So this was all the contact information that in my profile or in your profile. And then the help menu here, this will give you some information or instructions on how to use the client portal. If you or your client have any questions, they could always give us a call as well. Let's go ahead and go back to my listings. So at the very top here, you have your newly matched. And then once I click into here, it's going to give me my agent recommended, saved, and rejected. Now these counts, these listing number counts match the exact same thing, going back to the MLS here, that you did here. So you have your newly matched, agent recommended, saved, and rejected. It's just kind of giving it a, what I like to call bedazzled version, you know, lots of shiny, shiny goodness. So over here under the views, you can switch to and from the agent recommended, saved, or rejected. Let's close that one out. Now, if you have multiple searches for your client, or if your client has created their own searches, under this all searches drop down, this is where you can view all the searches in the client portal. Or if you have multiple, you can filter off what search you would like to see in the view. And then you also have a filter to do a date range. If you only want to look at specific listings from a specific date range, you could apply that filter here as well.
Are you going to have templates? Templates for communication, templates.
Templates?
Yes, thank you.
So those will come in as your default. So we do have some standard defaults, but you have the ability to create your own defaults. Yes, ma'am.
Are you going to have some?
Yes, ma'am. Let me go ahead and go down here. So under residential, this is what your client will see. And keep in mind that regardless of what device they're opening or using, it's going to conform to the device size. So it is what we call responsive design. So it responds to any device. So if they have a tablet or a phone, it's just going to give them a little formatted version for the phone version. Up here, you could select the listings. You could hit save, you could reject, you can open up the photo viewer. So if I clicked on the picture, it's going to open up the full picture viewer for this property. Now this is functionality and features that your client has available to them. Close that one out. And now going down the list here, I just want to go into the full detail, view details. And then this is going to bring you to a different display. Right from here, you could go left or right, take a look at multiple listings, and then you can save, reject the listings, you can post some comments for the properties, you can open up the map view, so let's go ahead and do that. So your client has some neat Google mapping features here as well. You can zoom in, take a look at the satellite view here, and then they could even grab this yellow person as well and just plot them down. So one thing with Google Maps is there's certain areas, especially in gated communities, you can't drop this person off because it's private property. So if you don't see any of the blue markers, it's not going to let you drop this little yellow person off there. Go ahead and close that one out. Do you have a question?
So this view, the client can see this because you checked portal in the auto prospecting, or it always looks like this?
No, you're correct. So this view is because we selected client portal in the auto prospecting setup for my client. This is the client portal. So unless you have client portal selected, they're going to get a report format. Let's go ahead and scroll down here and take a look at some of the property features. We have our picture, little picture slideshow right below it. And then all of the general information, fees, location, tax, and legal data. And this is all client sensitive information, so none of the agent confidential remarks or anything like that is going to display. Let's go ahead and close this one out. So in a nutshell, that's the client portal and how to set up your contacts and send them a client portal.
This is the default display?
Yes, ma'am, this is the client portal display.
Okay, and you don't change that, and they don't change that other than going to the full?
Correct, correct, yes.
I mean, it's nice.
So you have the, this is similar to a multi-line display with photos, and then if you click into the full detail, you'll be able to see the full detail display of the property. All right, let's go ahead and go back to the MLS. Now what I just did was I showed you how to go into contacts, prospects, and right from here, we created a new contact. Now there's multiple ways that you can do this. So let me just open up a new page. Don't want to lose what I'm doing there. So let's go over to searches. Let's go down to standard. Now let's say you get a phone call, you have criteria, you don't know who this person is yet, so you can start filling in the information that they're giving you. Just go with the same criteria, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. And I'll put a price range of $900 through $950. So the neat thing about this is directly from here, right from here, I could go up to options. I can save as a saved search, save as a new prospect. So if I save as a new prospect, it's just going to take me through that setup process again. So instead of going through contacts, creating all that, and then adding a search, you're doing the opposite. You're adding a search first, then you're creating the contact, and then going to clean up the prospect card. So there's just different variations on how you can do that. You can even add this search. So if I click here, and if I want to add this to one of my existing prospects, I'll just select the existing prospects, hit save, and it's added this search to my prospect. All right, so do we have any questions on client portal auto prospecting and how those features work? Perfect, okay. So another thing yes ma'am.
Why would I want to send a customer just a report and not send them to the portal?
That's all a personal preference. So the question is, why do I want to send my customer a report versus a client portal? And that's really, it's up to you. I mean, the reports, they'll give you exact live data. It's just not an interactive website like the client portal is. So it just depends on how your clients like to receive the information. Alrighty, so let me go ahead and go back up to a search. What I want to show you is a neat feature, what we call find comparables. So if I go up to searches, just pull up more information here for my residential, single family, 4 beds, 3 baths, 900 through 950. Perfect. And let's go ahead and hit search here. Okay, so one thing I'm going to do, let's go ahead and close these out. I'm going to open up a new session. I don't want to lose what I'm doing, so first select the listing and keep your eye on this little blue action bar here. We have a new button called Find Comparables. So let me go ahead and open up a new session. And now again, remember where I said that in the admin menu, this really helps customize and shape your experience in the MLS. So let's go down to the Find Comparables setup. So what I'm about to do is I'm about to set up some default search criteria so that when I hit that Find Comparables button, it's going to find some comps for me to get a head start in building a CMA.
But
So,
the MLS only comparables are going to be from the tax. So,
right, we did have that question earlier about including tax data in there. It's something we will be looking into, but it's not doing today.
But right now it's going to be only MLS.
Correct, it's only MLS right now. So let's go ahead and select the radius, quarter, half mile. You could go up to 20 miles if you'd like. I'll just stick with 1. And then we have bedrooms and bathrooms adjustments. So what this means is that if you have, let's just say, a 5-bedroom subject property, you have -1, so you're taking away 1 from your subject property. You have +1, you're adding 1 to it. So if it's a 5-bedroom subject property, you're looking for 4 through 6 bedrooms as your comparables. And the same applies with bathrooms. So you're just taking 1 away from the subject property or adding 1. If you want exact results, just leave it blank or select 0 and it'll give you matching exact results. Down here, this is where you can define the statuses that come back or included as search results in your Find Comparable search. Again, these are all defaults, just easy way for me to just hit 1 button and get a head start on finding some comps. Below that, you can include the structure square footage and the lot size. But everything is set here. I have everything good to go, so I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to close this out. Once you are ready to save your changes, though, be sure to hit Save and Close. Okay, so I just set up my Find Comparables search. Going under Admin, Find Comparables. Now let's hit this button. Now it's running the radius search that I just configured. All right, so it gives me my subject property at the very top and then all the comps right below that. Let's just say that you want to define or redefine some specific information, you want to add more info in there. If we go to Revise Criteria here, this is going to bring me to a radius search. So really what this Find Comparables is, it's really you going into searches, radius, but it's taking out the whole part of you putting in an address, the radius, and beds and bathrooms adjustment. So as I go down here, you see that my subject property's address is already filled in with my 1 mile radius above that. Going on down, we have the bedrooms adjustment. So this is how it takes the adjustment you add in the default setup. So it adds or removes one from your from, adds one to the through. Same applies for the total baths. Go back up to search. You also have the additional criteria if you want to include any appliances or property characteristics as well. Let's go back to search here, pull up our listings. And I'm just going to select this listing. This one, we'll select a few here. Okay, so once you're all ready, just go ahead and hit CMA top left. And next we have what report or what CMA report do you want to include? It's standard CMA portrait, CMA landscape, 3-up comparison, the 2-line, or the CMA package. We're going to do the CMA package. Next we're going to hit go. Now it's asking me, all right, do you want to create a contact or do you want to select from the existing ones? If I select this little lookup, it's going to bring up my contacts I already have in the system. If I scroll down here, and let's go with Harry Potter, hit OK. Now I'm adding this CMA or building a CMA for Harry Potter. We'll go ahead and hit next step. Now it's bringing me to my selected fields. So I just want to point out the selected fields, everything I have here, this can all be customized going into admin CMA default field setup. This is where all my default fields can be configured. You could also do that on the fly here. You also have the CMA documents as well, which we'll show you in just a few minutes. But everything's very similar like in the MLS. Available fields on the left, everything you've selected on the right. You can either use this little bar here to scroll up and down to find the fields you're looking for. But if there is a specific property characteristic about your subject property that can't be notated anywhere in the MLS, you also have an area where you can create a custom field. So let's just say my subject property has a yoga studio. I'll hit add custom. Then it's added that field to my selected fields list. If I want this as my default moving forward, all I would have to do is hit save as default. And once you move on to the next step, it's going to add that for you. So I'm going to go to step number 3, entering subject property. And since we already started off with the subject property, all that information will be filled out here. And going on down, these are all the information that we just pulled over using the fields in our selected CMA fields list. Once you're all set there, I'm just going to hit next step. Now this is where you get to make the adjustments. And I'm just going to throw out some random numbers there. So over on the right hand side where it says adjustments, let's just say that the yoga studio has like a $5,000 value. Total random number. I'm just going to subtract 5,000 from my comparable. And then I could either go to next listing here. And you also have the drop down on the right hand side to choose which listings you want to go to. So if you want to make the same adjustment there, minus 5,000. Perfect. Once you're all set, just go over to step number 5, performing the analysis. And then this is going to give you an analysis of all the adjustments you've made. It's going to give you an area where you could fill out a suggested price range. You could also view the high adjusted lows and medium values. And if there's another listing that you would like to include in this CMA, just plug in the listing number here, hit add, and the same applies if you want to remove any of these. You could always delete those properties as well from the CMA. Next, we're going to assemble the package.
What about square footage? We don't have in the list the square footage comparison.
What's that?
That's presented in the actual report.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll show you that in just a minute where all the fields come into play. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do here is all of these cover sheets or the letters, documents that I'm about to print out, like the agent resume, the cover letter, the presentation cover page, all that can be set up here, CMA document setup. So all that can be defined there. If you're a broker or have office admin rights, you will have the ability to create and modify an office resume. Let's go ahead and take a look and print this preview. All right, so this is the snapshot of the flyer report, picture of the property there, the subject property. Going on down my presented by information, and then I have the cover letter. And then here comes the subject comparison, 3-up comparison report. So my subject property is on the left-hand side, and all the other listings that I'm comparing against are on the right-hand side. Below that is giving you the adjusted total price. And then depending on how many listings you've selected in your CMA, it's just going to keep going on down and compare 3 by your subject property. Now down here, this is your CMA report. So this is going to give you the averages, the highs, the lows, the medium. And then going on down, this is really neat. So it's giving you so many statistical graphs and pie charts. It just makes it look like you spent hours or days working on this. And it's right over here. It's really nice. Days on market, listing price per sell price. So this is where it gives you the percentages, number of days. Going down here, all right, so this is where you'll be able to view your subject property and compare the locations on the other ones. So this blue icon with the star represents my subject property, and then all the other listings will be notated with a number around it. And you could still move the map before you print this out or send it. You can still zoom in, zoom out, and you can still use this yellow person to get a street view.
You can send it through the portal too? This one?
This one is the CMA package. It can be emailed, but it's not in the portal.
So they cannot interact, in other words, like a portal?
Correct. This is a report.
Link.
Correct. All right, so I'll go ahead and scroll down some more here. And then at the very bottom, this is the agent resume, and then it's followed by about the company, so the office resume. And the options up here, print this page, open as PDF, and you can send an email. You also have the option to email directly from the CMA portion as well. Any questions on the CMA? Yes, sir.
Yeah, so in the beginning you started doing a search for the CMA. You used a radius. Did you do that also with the map as well?
Yes, sir. You could do it with the map. There's multiple ways that you can run the CMA, and correct. I started off with a full detail view, hit find comparables, and that took me to a form search version of the radius search, where opposed to where you could go into the map, just look at one location and then grab those listings using the radius.
When we find the map, it was on that same page where you started CMA.
Okay. Okay.
It's like when you do a search. Like when
Yes.
you do a search, instead of selecting active, you select wholesale.
So right up here, if you want to do a CMA starting off with the map.
Sorry, that's why I had a question.
Okay.
I noticed that in the morning class too, you removed that seller's net sheet.
Oh, yes, yes.
I want to know what that is.
Okay, so there's a buyer's and a seller's net sheet. Now, the reason I removed it is because I haven't set it up. Seller's net sheets are configured per county, so it can all be different. So just to give you a brief snapshot of what that is, let me just open up another session.
Sorry, just like
No, that's fine. I'll go down to admin, seller's net sheet setup. Now what this is going to do is if you know specific prices, percentages, and all that per county, you can define that here. These are all the counties. Come in and start adding in information so that way it's always there by default. Now again, I didn't set this up. Everything's different per county and per area, so it's really up to you on if you want to utilize it and set this up by a default.
Really like that.
All right, I'll go ahead and close that out. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to some.
So where was the map?
Oh, yes, sir. All right. So I'll go over to searches and let's just go down to the interactive map. So if I want to do the same thing just using a map view, I'll just go to interactive map. And then really this you could do from any location. So again, you have your search criteria on the right hand side. And I'll just zoom in a little bit to pull up some listings. So let's say you want to run a CMA based off this address here. You can do the half mile, mile, and just run a radius search directly from here. So if I do
Not a radius search. If you want to, in Florida, it doesn't make sense to do radius because if, let's say Miami Shores, for example, you go half a mile north, you're in a completely different neighborhood, so it makes no sense. You got to be really tracing around like rivers and boundaries of neighborhoods, not radius, but actual either streets or rivers that divide neighborhoods.
okay, yeah. So then that would just be a different search with a different shape, really. So if you need to do that, you would just go to draw, and then this is where you'd be able to make all those shapes. And this pencil here, this is your free form. So if you really need to be very specific, you could go down here, and I'm just going to select this random location, and then you can outline it. I mean, so that's.
I didn't see those at the top when you were doing it.
Right, and it would be under draw here. All right, so we just covered finding comparables, how to set up your comparables, showed you how to create a contact, how to set up auto prospecting for that contact, how you can interact between you and your client in auto prospecting. Let me show you how you can also take a look at all the emails and information you've sent out by contact. Under contacts, contacts, prospects, on the right hand side over here, any email, let me go ahead and show all my active. So any email you've sent out of the MLS is going to have this little envelope, and if that envelope's available, you can click it. It'll take you directly to all the history of the emails you've sent to that specific person, including the auto prospecting emails. All right, contacts, prospects. Next thing I want to show you before we hit the Rapattoni Edge, the mobile application, is IDX. Over here under the admin menu, you have a few options. IDX search setup, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. Now this is the area where you'll be able to select what fields you want in your IDX search. So again, available fields on the left, the ones you've selected on the right. Let's go back to admin. Let's take a look at the IDX settings. Now this is really neat because let's say you have a website and you want to embed an IDX frame solution into your website, and you want those colors to match and blend in so it doesn't look like there's a lot of things going on in there. Let me go ahead and show you what I have over here. All right, perfect. So if this is my website and I want to match the colors of this website, I can just go over to the MLS. If you know the HTML colors, you can just plug them in. But you have this little color wheel. Select any colors you'd like. Do the next one. I'm just going to give it some drastic colors so you can see what it would look like. And we'll go with blue. Perfect. Then down here we're going to hit preview colors. So this is just giving you a sample of what that would look like if you were to go this route. So we're going to close that out. I'll just leave it the same way it was, and I'm going to go back to the admin menu. Now I'm going to go to public access links. This is where all your links will be located. So right away you have public access links, see my listings, your agent information. Let me scroll down a little bit here. All right, so now we have the IDX frame solutions. Two options, with navigation or without navigation. It all depends on how you use your website. Now let's go over to the website I built, and let's show you how that all works. If I go over to featured properties, this is going to open up in a new tab, a new window. It's not being framed into my website. It's showing me my agent in office, or my agent information with the little photo. Over here you could search properties, you could view the featured properties and your contact information. So this is a link with navigation. Let's go ahead and go back. Let's say we're going to go ahead and click on this featured properties button. Now what this is doing is it's keeping me on my website. It didn't open up in a new page. So what I want to do is hide the navigation bar. And that's what we've done. This is a IDX frame solution without the navigation. So it uses your current website's navigation tools. Up here, you still go to home, features, and property search. But you still have that same displays and features using either or. Now, one neat thing about the IDX frame solutions is not only can you view the details, see the properties plotted on a map, request more information, share. You can share to Twitter, Facebook, Google+, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and email. You can access virtual media. But this one's really one of my favorites, request more information. So let's just say that you had an IDX frame solution on your website, just public search version, right? Somebody stumbled across your website as they were Googling properties, and they're interested in this specific property. If they hit request more information, this is what we call lead generation. So if they filled out criteria and came to your listing, now they're clicking on request info, we're going to send you the information that they use to search by. They'll put in their contact name, the email, phone, best time to call, and any search criteria they plugged in your IDX frame solution will be located here. It's also going to give you the listing number and the information about that property. Going back to the MLS, let me go down a little bit here. All right, so there's multiple ways that you could use these IDX links, but my favorite is these IDX links by saved searches. What this means is that any search you create in the MLS, save it, you can create a custom link for it. So we'll go down to my searches, and let's just say I created a Jupiter area with 3 baths. Select that. Right away, it's given me a URL that I could copy, give to my web person, and embed it into my website or add it into a different link or a button on your web page. And you can do that with or without navigation bar. There's no limit to the amount of IDX links you can generate from here based off a saved search. You can be very creative. Some people like to have waterfront properties, lake view properties, golf course properties. You can create all those saved searches, come into here, copy them, and start sending them to your web guy so they can embed into your website.
And once it's embedded, it's updated. It's not.
Yes, good question. So once it's embedded, every time you hit it, it's always giving you live data, the most current live information. So it is a saved search. Each time they click it, it will give you the most recent information on that saved search. Do you have a question?
Yeah. So is this compatible with any type of website?
That is a great question. So it is compatible with any type of website. All it is a URL that a web person will have to embed and just tell. You're pretty much just telling, let's go ahead and go back home here. All you're saying is that behind the scenes, I want this picture to go to this URL. And that's where all my search results are. That's all it's doing. It's just a URL.
It's basic HTML.
Yeah, basic HTML, correct. So that's IDX Frame Solutions. Any questions on how that feature works? All right, let's go ahead and dive right into the mobile app. Now this one, I mean, you're gonna like it because everything we already went through, it's on the mobile app, and it's very similar to everything we've done. So once you've learned the interactive map search, the mobile interface comes very, very easy. Let's go back to the home page, and I'm just going to open it up on the web browser here. Now let me just make sure everybody understands. There are 2 different ways that you can use the MLS, either via tablet or your mobile phone. You could log in exact same way you do with your web browser, and it's going to open up the mobile version or the desktop version depending on what you have in your preferences. You don't have to download anything. Now if you want to download the app, they are available in the app stores, both Android and iPhone. It's Miami Space MLS. Now you won't have access to it just yet until it's all finished and live, but the app is available for anybody who wants to download the app.
What's it called?
It's Miami and then Space MLS. Then you're going to want to look for the one that has, does it say Rapattoni Corporation?
Rapattoni.
Yes, ma'am, that's it. So you're going to want to look for the one that says Rapattoni MLS or Rapattoni Corporation.
Sorry, my question. So do I need to download the app, or can I open like Safari on my phone?
You could use Whichever way you'd like. You can use.
Just making sure people know that. Because I said that this morning.
Yeah, you could log in through any web browser, or you could download the app. It's up to you, whatever preference you'd like. Yes, sir.
Is it laid out differently if you download the mobile version?
No, sir. It's the same feature sets.
Oh,
Exact same. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Now,
it looks like an app, but it doesn't behave like one.
yeah. Now, one advantage to downloading the app is it's just really easy to get to. You just log in, and then you're all good to go there. But the web browser as well. Web browser is really easy and quick, and it's all the same feature sets. Miami space MLS.
One problem that I have with Matrix now is on my desktop, it won't save the password to my iCloud keychain, but it does on my phone. Will you be able to do that, whether it's here, mobile, or app?
Now, yeah, the save password should work. Now, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, because it works for me.
Yeah, it could just be a Matrix issue that you're running into.
I saved it in my
Oh, you have?
Yeah, it was. And then,
It's a setting on the web browser.
but you'll be able, my question is.
Oh, yeah, you'll be able to save your password.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on an Android, and mine comes up, if I look up Rapattoni, it's SEF MLS.
Right, and then below that it says Rapattoni
It says
Corporation.
Rapattoni, but it's
Correct.
not Miami, you can't find it under Miami. It's SEF MLS,
Well, that's the icon. Did you use Miami space MLS to search?
and it wouldn't get it to me.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll check that out. I'll make sure we. It did come up? Okay. All right, well, let me go ahead and show you what the mobile version looks like here. I'm just going to open up the mobile interface. I'll close out my other browsers. And I'll shrink it down to mimic the tablet size here. There we go. Okay. All right. So can everybody see that okay? I'm just going to leave it up a little bit so everybody could see a little better. Now, when you open up or when you launch the Rapattoni Edge product, you're going to be taken here. This is the home page. So right here, you could start off with the map search. So if I go into here, this is going to give you the same type of map search, the same feature sets as we just went over in the interactive map. Now the main difference are the top two buttons up here. So we have criteria. So if I want to add criteria to this map search, all I have to do is hit criteria. Now it's going to open up the fields. Again, we just went through this. You can add, remove fields in here as well, include unmapped listings. I'll go ahead and close that one out. And then under more, so instead of you having all those actions in the blue bar, everything's going to be located under more now. So you have your save search, add to cart, add to a prospect cart. You still have all the same feature sets, including layers. Also, one thing I do want to show you here is that you do have a list view. So if I go into the list view from here, this is going to give me the list view opposed to the map view for the listings in the mobile version. So from here, you can still select some listings. And then again, the main difference would just be going up to more instead of having that blue bar. Here's where you can do all your actions as far as save a search, add to contact, you can share, add to a prospect card, or open up any SSO links. You can still open up the full picture viewer for the property. So if I want to look at this property here, take a look at the pictures, go to the full detail screen, go ahead and scroll down some more. You also have the add to, share, and directions. So if you have your phone open, you see a property, you want directions to that property, you can just hit that button. It'll open up your native app and get you GPS directions. Yes, ma'am.
As you roll this out, will there also be the links to go ahead and schedule the appointments from the apps as well?
Yes, ma'am. So that was a great question. When we do go live, you will have the ability to schedule showings through the app as well. And again, it's the same feature sets as the desktop. And I'll just go ahead and show you some information here. This is all the full detail view. And with the phone, you could just press the cell phone or the contact information. If they have an email, you could do that as well. And then you have all your property features below that. I'm just going to scroll down this a little bit fast. Just want to get to the bottom to show you the property history. Select View Property History. If there are any listings that were listed before or a running string of property history for this actual property, it will be displayed at the very bottom. It will also give you the listing numbers where you could hit the listing number and just view all the previous listings that it was listed. Yes.
Sorry.
You're okay.
That's the name of the app here. Well, there it is.
Yeah, that's it.
Just so you know. Okay. I was looking for it. I was like, try different, but that's the name of the app. Seth space MLS. Southeast Florida space MLS. Seth space MLS. No,
Cool.
sorry.
No, thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and go back to list. All right, so let me go ahead and show you this here though. Again, this is a responsive design site, so as I expand this, we'll just say that I'm on iPad, tablet, or something like that. You can see that the columns and the fields up here start to expand and display. So you can use the sorting options here as well, and we'll go ahead and close it up a little bit. Now, if you were on a mobile phone, this might be the view you get depending on how big your phone is. Yes?
So, let's say I send something from, say, app to my client, it'll still be like the same link thing, or do they have their own client version of the app that they have an option to customize?
No, so that's a good question. Just because you're emailing or doing work on the app versus the desktop, it's all synced together. Everything's all the same thing. All right, let me go ahead and hit these three bars here again. Pressing these three bars because I'm on a mobile interface. This will take me to the home page. Now from here, I could go to a standard search. So instead of starting off with a map search, you can start off with a set of fields, and at the very bottom, hit View Results. Go back to the home page here. You can also run a hot sheet from here. Your recent searches, your saved searches, open houses, and broker tours. Now to the right of these searches, we're going to go to contacts. Here you have your contacts and prospects. You can run an agent office search. Under listings is your carts, your listings, and your office listings. Under links, this will be any third-party SSO links that you could integrate with. Go back to the desktop, the IMAP tax search, realist tax. Then admin, this is where you can modify your profile. You can manage any devices that you've registered if you've downloaded the app. And then this learning center, this one, when you're accessing it through the mobile app or just the online version, it will show you mobile learning centers only, and you'll be able to access all the other ones if you'd like.
Under your searches, I didn't see the custom searches. Are those not available on the mobile version?
So the custom searches, that exact option is not available in the custom searches, but let me go to searches, and I'll just go to standard. You can still create your own custom search by going into Add Remove Fields. And this is where you can still customize the search exactly how you want it. Remove anything you don't want to search by and add only the information that you use to search by for listings.
Okay, but previously saved custom searches would not show here.
Right, right.
How about if you had done something, would it show up under recent searches?
Yes, ma'am. So anything you run here, it will show up under recent searches as well. So in a nutshell, that's the Rapattoni MLS products and some of the feature sets. Now, keep in mind that you do have, we didn't really go over this one here, but let's go ahead and try it out. This use your current location, this one's really neat. So if you do have your phone, you're on the road, hit that button. So this is where I am. Now what you can do is you can either show results based off your default criteria. So I probably don't have anything. Oh, my mistake. None of the listings in this area have been converted yet, so I won't see anything. So, yes, but it did locate me. It did locate me. So once all the conversion's done, you hit find your location, you will be able to see all the other pins around your location. It's just the data hasn't been converted yet. All right, well, thank you everybody. If you have any questions, feel free to come up. Do you have a question, ma'am? Okay, add and edit listings. Let me go ahead and go back to the desktop. So the way that adding and editing listings goes is on the home page, right from the resources, you go to add and edit. And you also have that under in mobile, under your links, you can go to add and edit as well. So
Did you go to the matrix model?
yes, ma'am. It'll take you to the matrix listing input form and where you can revise and submit your listings.
That doesn't mean that you have the two MLS platforms. What this means is that they're providing you with a link for quick access for you to be able to add your listing or to edit your listing via Matrix, but you don't have the full capability of Matrix. So it's just basically just giving you that access so that way you don't have to have both platforms. Now you can choose which one you want to use, and then you can be happy with whatever you choose. You still have the full capability of both of the platforms, okay? So from here you have full capability of adding. Yes, it's kind of doing it through Matrix, but it's like kind of like in the back door or something like that, you know. But you still have the ability of seeing that over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Now you. I'll answer that in just a few minutes. Sorry.
I noticed you have that group there. Are we going to have access to the form simplicity from here?
Yeah, again, they're still working on all the integrations. So dot loop and showing time, I believe, were added last night.
Okay.
So you'll see this list growing.
Okay.
Can you show us again how many forms are available when you email it to the client as a report?
Okay. Now keep in mind, again, we're still working on it, so there's only a few client-style reports today. When this does go live, you will have a full custom report writer that you can create your own custom reports.
Did you hear that?
So what are
Did you hear that, what you just said?
Yes.
Can you repeat that?
Yes, so the question was, when you go to email out when you email out a listing, what reports do you have available in the client-style list? So let me just go ahead and go up to my cards here. I'm just going to select a listing.
Oh, I just wanted you to tell them that you.
Oh, yeah. So let me just show you the list when you're emailing out. Under email, this is what comes right out the get-go. So this is what we have today. We are working on creating more reports, custom reports, and you're also going to have a custom report writer as well once this does go live. So you'll be able to build your own reports and include them when you're emailing out.
So you're going to be able to copy an existing report like you do on the grid and just modify that report and copy the report?
Yeah, it's a full custom report writer. So you're going to have.
Customized.
Yes, sir.
So you got your blank page, you can bring in fields.
You got it.
That's what I
Just remember that with everything that you do have rules and regulations that you have to abide by when you create those custom reports, okay? There are some rules that you have to abide by. So there's confidential information that you shouldn't be including in those reports.
Exactly.
Just like there is some information that is required by NAR that you include in those reports, okay? So just make sure that you understand that and that you get a full orientation of those requirements and those things before you start creating your reports here, okay?
Do you know offhand if they have calculated fields?
Calculated fields, yeah, almost all the.
Square foot?
Yeah, I mean the calculated fields, like for instance, if there's a price and a square footage for a listing, we're already calculating that and giving you the price per square foot. Yes, sir.
Video links, or can you upload a video, or is it just your virtual tour slot?
Add a video onto your listing?
Yes.
Okay, so that's kind of a gray area because the way that it works is any listing that's entered is through CoreLogic, and that's not our product. So I'm not too sure what you can and can't add in listing input through CoreLogic, but he had a question as far as virtual media and virtual tours being added. And
I'm sorry, say that again?
so the question was, can you add multiple virtual medias?
Like virtual media?
You won't be able to add listings in Rapattoni?
You have the access to add the listing in Rapattoni, like not really in Rapattoni, but you have the access in Rapattoni in order to go to where you need to go to add your listing and edit. Yes. Because remember, you have to understand something. The database, the MLS database, belongs to CoreLogic, right? And it's like, if you think about it, this is a different company, and then you have CoreLogic. CoreLogic has Matrix, and then you have Rapattoni, right? Two different companies. The reason why that Rapattoni is not going to be able to like do it directly and add it is because the database belongs to a different company. It's like asking Apple to allow Microsoft to go in there and start doing changes into their operating system and everything. That's not going to work, right? But they did do a compromise where they did allow you to have a link and a shortcut there for you to be able to access the added edits, so you can, that way you can have the full platform and not be suffering from like, okay, I chose Rapattoni and now I can't add my listing, now I can't edit my listing. Now you can. They have a different access for you in there, so that way you are allowed and you have the full capability of doing that. Okay?
Yeah, my frustration has been that we have been able, we're not allowed to put a URL in the public comments, so your clients can't really see the virtual tour.
Well, the virtual tour, the virtual tours, I thought that they were, I mean, they are available in the client portal. So they are available for them to see the virtual tours. Now, do you know that there are rules when it comes to that? Yes. That it cannot be branded, that it, you know, that once they go into that virtual tour, that it cannot be branded whatsoever. It cannot have your listing office. It cannot have your contact information as the listing agent or anything like that. Those are rules and regulations that they do have set here, okay? But yes, your clients are able to see the virtual tours just fine. They're able to do it right now.
Your listing appears on realtor.com. They don't have access.
But they do appear in the client portals that you are offering to them here when you're sending them listings, right? So we have no control on how Realtor.com or how Zillow does things. We don't have control over that. We can control what we do here for the product.